And it's Kraetzer for CamMVetsMedia, another edition of our Army Football Huddle. I'm at the Army Hall of Fame hall at Mikey Stadium and watch the Black Knights practice for their game on Saturday at University of Alabama, Birmingham. Now we have our team assembled, and we've got, do we have Richard Miller?
Hi, good evening.
Richard down in Florida, thank you. And we have Chuck Donegan calling in from Long Island. How are you, Chuck?
I'm good, Ken, as good as I'm hoping the Black Knights will do the next road game.
Okay. And we have Steve Chaloult from South Jersey. Steve, how are you?
Doing fantastic, Ken.
Okay, very good. And do we have Colonel Sam Houston?
Yes, we do. All present.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Colonel Houston from the class of '87 from the Beat Navy studio in Huntsville, Alabama. And running the board for us is Stephanie. Stephanie, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Okay, we did well getting us on the air. We appreciate it.
And we have Curtis Harris, Jr.
And we have Curtis Harris. Yeah, I'm sorry. Curtis, where are you located?
I'm located in New York City, and I'm a representative of GoBlackKnights.com.
Okay, very good. Glad you could join us tonight. Okay,
Thanks for having me.
I was down in at East Carolina for the game last week. Disappointing game for Army, going down 3 touchdowns early, 21-0. And then coming back in the second half with really a beautiful 60-yard run by Noah Short and Dwayne Coleman completing that drive with a 2-yard rush. But then East Carolina clinching the game on a fake field goal, 32-yard rush by Pearson. And even some of the comments online was that Army saw that they changed the player who was the placeholder and put in someone else and didn't change the defense. And we talked to Coach Monken about that after the game. Well, let's get everybody's thoughts on what they saw at the East Carolina game, and then we'll be getting set for the UAB game, which will be Saturday in Birmingham, Alabama. Okay, so Curtis Harris Jr. is a guest tonight. Why don't you lead off? What was your thought on the East Carolina game?
So I guess in my opinion, there were so many things that were so worrisome or concerning. Specifically on defense. I mean, you can even look at the offensive line and look at the offense getting behind, what do you call it? The line, not behind the line of scrimmage, but, we'd always try to aim for getting 3 yards every play, or, going, from first down, second down, and third down. It seemed like for the first, second, and third quarter, we were having issues gaining yards on first down. We were pretty much behind the lines on offense, and on defense. Look, I don't want to be hard on the players because I have all the respect for West Point and the cadets, but I was just looking at just how much ECU essentially blew us open. I mean, they pretty much exposed our defense. On national television, unfortunately, but either way, they were able to pass the ball on us and get down the field pretty quickly in the first quarter. Hence how they scored 21 points, I think, with 23 seconds left in the first quarter. But then there were also some upsides. I mean, there was that interception by I forgot his name. I think ECU had the ball going into their into the end zone, and we intercepted it on like the 30th. And there was also that play where they pitched it to a running back, or the quarterback pitched it to a running back, and one of our defenders noticed the play and quickly patted down the pitch. There were some positives there, and Coleman also made some, honestly, some pretty spectacular throws, but very concerning to say the least. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but
Okay, Curtis, thank you. Let's go to Steve Chaloux in South Jersey. Steve, what was your analysis of the game?
You know, a couple of weeks back, we talked about the identity of this team, and we're trying to really figure that out. And I think that they are, the leadership of this team is trying to figure that out too. I liken this team to be like a golden retriever puppy, cute. We love them to death, but sometimes they're going to poop on your yard, poop on your carpet. So it's tough. And it's just a difficulty with the right now. Where are the leaders coming from? We've shown that we get out of the gate a little bit slow. So we come out slow. We show opportunities and spurts for advancement, but we finish, but we don't finish. We really need some leadership to step up and figure out where exactly we are as we get through the meat. We're going right into the meat of our schedule now. So, I watched us come out of the gate very, very slowly. We got down by a large amount again, 21 points, I believe. And then we finally woke up and started to at least have some success. Listen, these teams in this conference, the transfer portal allows for teams to get well quickly. And you're going to see that again with UAB this week. They can get well really quickly. And this team had a lot of changes to it, and they were stout at a point of attack. And until we get them out of the box and throw the ball a little bit more effectively to make them respect that, we're going to be stacked all year long in the box, and it's going to make it difficult for us to run. Our offensive line is not the offensive line we had last year, so we've got to balance it out a little bit. I think we need to be a little bit more in the attack. So a little bit disappointing, but hey, it's a new opportunity, a new week for us.
Okay, Steve, thank you. And let's hear from Colonel Sam Houston down in Huntsville.
Yeah, one thing that I definitely want to lead off with is that nobody can say, but Army had a short week to prepare, because so did ECU. ECU actually had a shorter week than Army because they played in the evening on Saturday the week before. But I had a few comments that I posted online, both on the Crawdad site and on the on the Pure Army Black Knights football and sports site. I placed this one primarily on the coaching. I'm sorry, I just have to do that. One is the offensive game plan. You had a short week, you go with gun option for most of the game. That played directly into ECU's defensive strengths. It forced Army into playing to out finesse ECU instead of playing to Army's strength. And offensive adjustments really weren't forthcoming throughout the game. And this is a real challenge, because the gun option, what it does is it requires blocks to be held for slightly longer than playing under center. And ECU up front was stout. And you're asking almost the impossible for the Army offensive line to hold these blocks a split second longer for these plays to develop that are being run out of the gun option. It just was not work. It was not a good game plan, and it should not have been stuck with. And quite frankly, I don't think that was the right approach to the game. Panic calls. I haven't seen this happen very often, but after Army was down 21-0, now we know about the drop passes that could have been a score in the second quarter. However, when Army came out of the gate to begin the third quarter, we all looked around and said they need to score a touchdown fast. Well, guess what? They did. And then they went for a 2-point conversion. And, Steve Chaloult and I were texting each other, and Steve texted me, said, why? And I didn't have an answer. Why? Why are you going for 2 points? It made no sense. And to me, it just struck that there was panic on the sideline, that Army would not have many more opportunities, if any, to score more points. Another one was the inability to convert third and fourth downs. 2 out of 15 on third downs, 4 out of 9 on fourth. And a lot of it was the play calling. First off, trying to run a 4th and short from the gun option. You had plays where there was one 4th down where we tried to do a pass play on 4th and 1. Then there was another 4th down where running out of the gun option, Coleman was running laterally to the line of scrimmage and not surprisingly got tackled for a loss. End of the drive. And for the 2nd week in a row, spotted the team a 21 lead early. Then there was execution, missed blocks or failure to maintain blocks. Tackling was an issue again. Go back and look and see at the yards after first contact. Again, after seeing this happen against North Texas, it happened all over again against ECU. In other words, the defense failed to stop the run almost the whole game. There was practically zero pressure on Hauser. Army won the physical turnover battle, as in the stat. Army had less turnovers based on fumbles and interceptions. But if you include turnover on downs, Army once again lost the turnover battle in this game. And then I've got a big concern here that I want to bring up, and I'm going to finish on a positive. I don't want all this to be negative, but I do want to point out, I got real concerns with Army special teams. Dating back to the Navy game, this is a 4th game dating back to the Navy game with a significant special teams lapse. Navy fake punt, the kickoff out of bounds in the bowl game. I think actually there were 2 kickoffs out of bounds in the bowl game. The kickoff return for a TD by Kansas State, and the fake field goal for a touchdown by ECU that clearly put the game out of reach. But I will finish on a positive. The best play of the entire game for the Army team, Wagon Seller delivers 70-yard punt to the ECU 1. Way to go.
And the challenge with that was the defense forced ECU to punt, but then Army got the ball inside of the ECU 50-yard line and could not really move the ball, coming up short on a 4th and 12, coming up a yard short. Okay, Chuck Donegan, you have an observation for us?
I certainly do, Ken. Well, for starters, it certainly didn't help that ECU got in the first quarter that 21-0 lead, really put Army, I think, at a serious disadvantage early on. They had a chance, I thought, in the second. Might have even the score gotten close to it, especially with ECU staying off the board. They also followed suit. So that was missed opportunity there, I thought. And then finally started, attempt a rally, I thought, in the third. But as we know, that was as far as it went. Just not a great performance. I'm hoping things will improve next time out, though, and I'm staying positive as always.
Did we lose
Good.
Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think we may have.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
We'll
What
give
should
Ken
I go next?
Yeah, we'll give Ken a chance to get back on, but in the meantime, Richard, what were some of your observations from this past Saturday's game?
Oh, well, thank you, Sam. My observations from Saturday's game, the inconsistency of the special teams only putting up six points. I mean, it wasn't good. It was flat out just, looking at the team stats overall in the game. Looking at first down efficiency, third down efficiency, Army 2 for 15 on third down. The inability to convert on those main opportunities that really could give you some maybe booster. They just couldn't do it.
Okay.
And look at also East Carolina. East Carolina was 7 of 12 in those extra opportunities that they were given. Total yards, 431 to 290, and also which would come out to be. I'm not going to try to do math on that, but also the passing game. ECU 251 to Army's only 49. Completely
That was
shut down.
Sure.
That was a good point, Richard. Army never really was able to connect. A couple of drop passes that might, in fact, one might have been a touchdown in the first quarter. Really limited Army's offensive potential in the game. So, Richard, any other scores in college football that you want to mention?
Yes, there are of course other scores in college football that I would like to mention as we go through college football. As we go through college football this week, as we have on the college football scoreboard. Let's see, we have college football week. We have college football week 5. We have number 23 BYU defeating Colorado 24-21. Number 10 Alabama defeating number 12 Georgia 24-21. How about also a double overtime game? It was a double overtime game. Let's see if I can get that game. Let's see if I can get that game up here. Or no, one overtime game. Number 2 Oregon took down Penn State 30-24 in overtime. Also, you have number 3 Miami 26-7 over Florida. Number 16 Vanderbilt 70-21 over Georgia State. Number 24 Virginia 48-20 over Stanford. Number 9 Texas 55-10 over Sam Houston. And also LSU winning over SC. LSU winning 55-10 over the SC Louisiana.
Okay, very good, Richard. Very
Just
good.
one small correction there. I believe you meant the Stanford game was that against Virginia Tech, because Virginia actually took down number 8 Florida State on Friday night in a fabulous game in overtime. And rightfully so, there in Charlottesville, they had the party of their lives on the field after that game ended.
Yeah.
Also, I believe Stephanie has a video queued up that we can watch of Coach Monken's after.
Oh,
game
good. We got that
comments.
ready. I was asking for that a moment ago. Good. Stephanie, why don't you play that?
All right, give me 1 second, and I am pulling it up right now. Share. Open.
Spinning wheel.
And you get the 71-yard punt late in the third quarter from Wagenseller, and defense stopped. You get the ball back, but it still seemed hard to move the ball. And then on the 4th and 12, you had the pass from Dwayne Coleman to Noah Short. That was a yard short on the 4th and 12.
Yeah, that punt completely flipped the field.
What is going on?
The chance was stopped to get the ball in good field position. We were on their end, and they kicked our butts. That's the bottom line. They kicked our butts, and so we couldn't do anything with it. Couldn't run our offense efficiently enough to continue to turn the sticks and get first downs. And had some throws, and we had some plays that we tried to run to keep ourselves in it. And the 4th and long play, like you said, we just a little bit short, but we didn't need to be in 4th and 12. We needed to be in 4th and 2.
I guess the last. Okay, that's that's Army coach Jeff Monken speaking after the loss to East Carolina. Very disappointed, and that was kind of like one of the disappointing moments in the game, in that they get the terrific 70-yard punt from Wagenseller, pin East Carolina inside their own 2-yard line, and then force a punt, but then the offense can't move the ball. So disappointing. Let's go to Chuck Donegan. Were there any other scores in the American Conference? They changed the name of the conference, by the way, over the summer. They got rid of athletic, and it's just the American Conference. And I think that has a nice sound to it. Chuck, do you have some of the scores from the American Conference from last week?
Yes, I do, Ken. We had quite a few challenging games. Starters, it was a close contest between Florida State and Virginia, ending with a 46-38 victory. That was definitely a memorable one. Plus, had a near blowout in the Ohio State-Washington contest, 24-6 Ohio. And for the down south, Ole Miss LSU, another close one, ending in a 24-19 Ole Miss victory. Yeah, so that was another good one right there.
Okay, anything else in the American Conference?
Yeah, let's see. Well, some others. I know Richard mentioned there was a very close contest between Alabama, Georgia, 24-21. Truly one for the ages.
Okay. Chuck, do you have, I don't know if we have Jack McGurk tonight. Do you have the scores for Navy and Air Force from last week?
Could actually those up right now.
Navy beat Rice at home 21-13.
21-13. Air Force.
Oh, yeah.
Air Force and Air Force also. Air Force lost to Hawaii 44-35.
Okay, and those two will be playing each other
This weekend.
this weekend. Where is that game going to be played? Is that
At Squidville.
Yeah, it's Squidville.
down in Annapolis?
Navy.
Okay.
Down south.
Ooh,
Okay.
Navy.
I know we don't make predictions about these particular games, but I just want to say on my observation, just quick observations of both Navy and Air Force this year. Navy does have an Achilles heel this year compared to last year. Their defense is not quite performing as well as they did at this time last year.
Yeah.
That's not to say that they're not making improvements all the time, because Newberry is an outstanding defensive mind. And the Rice game was a reflection of the fact that Navy made a few mistakes in the second half that let Rice get into the game, and the fact that Rice has actually improved this year, which is probably a good thing that we're not playing Rice this year. And then Air Force this year is non-existent on defense. I think just about every single team they've played, with the exception of Bucknell, has scored over 40 points on them. They have seemed to have found a quarterback in the sophomore yearling Liam Sarka, but their offensive production has not been enough to keep up with the lack of defense and offensive production on the other side of the field. So it'll be interesting to see this Saturday what happens. But personally, I think Navy's going to roll Air Force right up like a carpet and throw them out in the trash.
Okay. That will be interesting to see. And we'll follow that after the Army game at UAB. Okay, let's talk about it a little bit. Talked a little bit with Caleb Fordner today. He talked about execution being key, what he's talking to his teammates about. Talked a little bit with Dwayne Coleman. He was talking about managing the football and being a leader, and that being the job of the quarterback. Talked a little bit with Paolo Generali, and he just thinks they have to just play better, block better. And he's got so much enthusiasm. It's great to see, excuse me. And talked to Coach Monken. He's just very, very disappointed, but he's got to get the team playing better. Okay, let's go through. Let's go to Steve Chaloult. What are your thoughts on what Army has to do to improve their level of performance?
All roads lead through the offensive line for me. I think we need to establish the line of scrimmage. We need to establish our identity on offense. We're a little Jekyll and Hyde. We're a little shotgun. We're a little country, a little rock and roll, right? So I don't think we really understand who we are still to this point. I think we got to get under center, and I think we need to attack the line of scrimmage. We don't have Army 13 back there anymore. So let's get that ball outside. Let's get that, we don't have a quarterback that's going to get the extra 2 or 3 yards. That's going to bring, a 2nd and 3 or a 2nd and 4. We're going to be at 2nd and 7. So we have to stay on schedule. We have to attack downhill. and we have to make our reads. And the offensive line needs to show their identity. We got 2 potential All-Americans on that line. We need to pick up the rest of the offensive line by their bootstraps and carry this team down this next stretch. And that's where it's got to happen. I mean, the backs are running hard. They're all running hard, but we're hardly running, so we got to get moving on this. And it starts with the offensive line. And they want to stack with 8 in the box. Good. Stack it with 8 in the box. And Navy does it. Air Force does it. They figure out a way to get the ball downfield or get it outside to make them loosen up that box. We are so focused on the quarterback keeper. We're so focused on the fullback because we don't want to put the ball in the turf or whatever the reasons are. We've got to figure it out. We are getting to the point of no return in this season quickly. So let's roll.
Well, no doubt. 1-3, you've got to try and get a win. Coach Monken talked about being desperate. Dwayne Coleman agreed with that. They've got to play with a sense of desperation. And let's go to Curtis and Curtis Harris Jr. What are your thoughts on what Army needs to do to turn around and get a win on Saturday?
Well, actually, Steve took the words pretty much right out of my mouth. Well, I hadn't spoken yet, but you look at the offensive line, and we have 2 All-Americans right there. I think we're not the same offensive line that we had last year, and we don't have number 13, right? I look at the play call, and I'm not trying to blame the coaching staff, but when I was watching the game at the beginning, and at least in the first half, and you can kind of say the same thing about the second half to some degree. But these quarterback dives, I mean, we just keep running it as if we have Bryson Daly back there or some quarterback like Ahmad Bradshaw, who is, going to get us that extra yard or 2 yards. But we don't have that. And I'm not saying Coleman isn't that guy. I'm not really sure. Every time I watch those plays break down, I've always been trying to figure out where is it falling apart. I've been playing it on replay, all evening, just looking down and trying to break it apart. And I haven't been able to figure it out. But, we don't have number 13 anymore. We need to figure out ways to get it on, get the ball on the outside. We need to figure out some type of mechanism to, every team is going to go 8 men in the box or sometimes even 9. They're not. They know what we have, and we need to be able to get down the field. With that being said, I should have mentioned this earlier, but Sam actually brought this up, and I thought about this literally the entire game when we went for it. We scored a touchdown and we went for the 2-point conversion, stuff like that. I mean, I know there's desperation, and I'm not trying to speak towards anyone directly, but I love the feeling or the enthusiasm of we all need to play desperate, but I mean going for it mathematically speaking, I mean I don't know what the goal was there. And Sam, when you mentioned it earlier, I was just I should have mentioned it when I talked about the ECU game, but we can't make mistakes like that. That was just we lost a point, an extra point, and even if we were to get back in the game, we're still in this weird mathematical dilemma where we had to go for 2 again and figure that out. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that just, God, But yeah, that's how I feel about the game. I mean, Steve pretty much took all the words out of my mouth. So.
Well, I did ask Coach Monken in the post game about the thought on going for the 2-point conversion down 21-6. And he said, if you get 2 points, then you can go for 7 each of the, if you get 2 more touchdowns, and then you're ahead a point.
Oh.
And I'm sure he looked at they work on this analytics. They have a software program that identifies their chance to win off of every decision they make. And that was a decision that I'm sure was guided by the analytics, but he thought it was a way of giving them a chance to win if they could score 2 more touchdowns. But again, I would have rather at that moment just put another point up on the board and then move forward to try to get another drive going. I think
Ken,
whenever you miss a 2-point conversion, you lose a little bit of momentum. What do you think,
it's
Ken? You're
interesting
shaking
that
your head.
it's interesting, Ken, because I watched a pro game this weekend and they did the same thing. I forget what pro game it was, but they were down by a couple scores and they went for 2. It must be some 26-year-old got their PhD and is working for an analytics company right now. And I guarantee you that they had a thesis and this ended up in everybody's packets. For some reason, and the pro team missed it also. So I still not a huge fan of that. I'd rather go for 2 with momentum when we could tie it or win the game, right? So that's when, you think of how many years ago when we were in the bowl game and we ran the toss sweep against San Diego State, right?
San Diego State, yeah.
Yeah, like
That's
2018.
when
That's
you
when
use
you-
2 points.
Yeah, that's when you run
That's
it, people.
that's when you're saying, holy crap,
That's when you
they
run
just
it.
scored. What are we going to do now? And we've got momentum. Up
Yeah,
until that point, now you have a couple series that you don't. You're like, oh, now we have to do this, right? So, I don't know. It was a head scratcher for sure.
totally.
Some
Yeah.
26-year-old with a PhD.
One thing,
That's funny.
so if I can join in on this one.
Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, first off, analytics, that almost triggers me, man. I would like to go the rest of this season without hearing somebody say analytics. They did it on the analytics. What about the coaching, man? What about the common sense? I don't want to hear analytics. All right. Steve's exactly right. And he stole some of my thunder because I was going to bring up the Armed Forces Bowl in 2017. That's when you go for a 2-point conversion. And that's to win the game with less than a minute to go. And that's what Army did. And guess what? They hadn't run any trick plays in that game, and they were in position to put San Diego State on their heels. And they did. It was a great time, and I was there, and I know Steve was probably there too, and it was a fantastic party after the game. But as far as where this Army team needs to go, I could not agree with Steve and Curtis more. Absolutely 100%. The offensive line is the engine that makes Army football work, period. And it's more, and people will say, well, what about the defense? Do you realize how critical the offensive line is to time of possession? And do you realize how critical time of possession is to the Army defense? Because you keep the other team's offense off the field, they're not going to score. And by the way, when you get into the second half and you have grinded out, 2 or 3 7-minute, 7-minute plus drives for touchdowns, and you've got a lead in the second half, the other team starts making mistakes because, as Steve has eloquently pointed out on many times, the opposing quarterback has got a clock in his head of how many more possessions you can expect to get on these long time-consuming drives that Army's mounting. And so you go in, you try to make too much happen when you actually have the opportunity to have the ball. And it gives the Army defense the opportunity to exploit mistakes. So the offensive line, number one, is got to come together. They have the 2 potential All-Americans on the line. They've got some serious beef up there that's running on the offensive line of scrimmage. But also, just as Steve said, just as Curtis said, get back to playing Army football. Get away from this gun option stuff. You cannot out-finesse the other teams in the American Conference. You just can't do it. So don't try to do it. You are putting yourself at an immediate disadvantage trying to run out of the gun all the time because of the fact that the offensive line is having to hold their blocks a little longer. And you can't do it. So get up under scrimmage and run triple option to its strengths. Run the triple option, run the midline option. Take a look at what Navy and Air Force do when it comes to running traps, counters, and misdirections between the tackles. Army hardly ever does that. And it's a few years ago, Army got in this habit of being quarterback centric. It was back when like Tyler was quarterback, where suddenly it was that the quarterback was the end all for carrying the ball constantly between the tackles. And we've also gotten away from, bigger B-backs like Darnell Woolfolk and people like that. So let's get back to Army football. Let's get whoever the quarterback is going to be, let's get him under center and let's dust off the old Monken playbook that we were running back when we had Ahmad Bradshaw in a quarterback, and start running those plays and force people to beat you at your game, the game that you know best. And that is power running of the triple option football, grinding out long, time-consuming possessions that run up time of possession and keep the other offense off the field. I mean, it's pretty simple. You're going to find your identity. Your identity, you will find, is the same identity it has been all along, and that is Army football if you do that.
Okay, Sam, there must be a song somebody wrote about where has Jacoby Buchanan gone? Can we get him back?
Yeah, we haven't been
Yeah.
firing the Buchanans much anymore.
Yeah.
This season.
I talk.
Yeah, okay.
Ken, I talk with the Sprint head football coach a lot. He doesn't like to hear. Mark West doesn't like to hear it from me because he runs a shotgun offense, and I tell him that if he never wants to ever lose another game, and he doesn't lose many games, is that he ought to run some semblance of the Delaware wing T.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stop that offense. You can't stop that offense. And at the speed in which they could run it playing sprint football, they would be unstoppable because you're always attacking. You always have angles. Coincidentally enough, Navy's offense is an offshoot of the wing T.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yes.
And that is, I mean, and the key to that whole thing is you're pulling guards, you're attacking counters inside, you're cross blocking, you always have an angle, and you're using deception.
Mm-hmm.
Our offense consists of toss sweeps, an occasional option outside, fullback or quarterback midline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do. And we do that ad nauseum. Now,
Mm-hmm.
last year we got away with it. Often all Americans are brought with a long run, a weak defense, and a poet in the press box. We had an All-American at quarterback last year, and he made everybody look good. Well, we got a different situation this year. So we've got to scheme things that are going to work to our advantage. I would like to see us go back to some counters. I'd like to see us go back inside and trap.
Oh, yes.
It would freeze those nose guards. It would freeze those defensive tackles and keep them from penetrating because they're going to get ear-holed 3 or 4 times, and they're going to be looking for it. We don't. It's not sexy. Nobody likes to do it, but hey, let's go back to an semblance of the wing T.
Please, yes.
Okay,
please
okay.
Please.
Let's go over the quarterback question for a second. Talking with Cody Worley today, he said it's a competition between Dwayne Coleman and Cale Helms, and they have to not just practice well, they need to lead well, they need to inspire their teammates, they need to come to the meetings ready to go. And which do you think? Do you think there's going to be a change, or will we see Dwayne Coleman out there starting on Saturday?
I'll start. I would say, based on the historical trend of Monken, especially in the past 6 years, if Dwayne Coleman is healthy, he's probably going to start. But I'm going to put a caveat on that. He needs to start playing under center and not running gun option.
Okay. I would tend to agree. I think Dwayne's going to start, but he's needs more help, and he also has to get some semblance of a passing game going. That was something that was really missing against East Carolina.
Yeah,
and of course,
Ken,
a couple of passes were dropped.
Ken, if I may,
Go ahead.
I've said this probably every week in the huddle, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say it again. Every time passing comes up, okay, across the back of my spine, especially this season, I get a little cringe. Option football, you don't pass on first down. The intent is you pick up 5-6 yards on first down, catch the defense snapping on second and short with a nice pop pass over the top. So when you get people with when they crunch 10 people into the box, thinking you're going to run it on second and short, you have a passing opportunity. That's the type of passing plays I would like to see this team get back to, and stop the whole 1st and 10 passing, especially from gun option. I just hope we just like scrap that unless we need it for a
Okay.
2-minute drill or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, let's hear from Curtis.
Sorry, in terms of what we're doing in terms of the quarterback position, I would say,
please.
sorry, I was receiving like an alert about something. It was just, I don't know, it seemed really important. But anyway, in terms of the quarterback position, I would say, given what Sam had just said, about Jeff Monken's history, I think we're going to go with Coleman. And we definitely need to be going under center with that expectation. But there is also the chance. I mean, I think, we've seen Jeff Monken in the past, play seasons in which we've had 2 different quarterbacks. So I mean, we could have one start the game, but then have one come in later. I mean, Helms played, to my knowledge, in the ECU game towards the end. He had some reps. But I think it should go with Coleman. I think we need to get some fluid, like some continuancy there. And or I should say fluidity, or just something that's just we just need the leadership, as Steve had mentioned earlier, to really kick in, because we need to figure out what type of team we're going to be going forward. I mean, we're in the meat of our schedule. I mean, this is conference games, and this will be our second conference game of the season. And I think we really, really, really need to step it up. I think Coleman,
You too.
as a senior, should be the one to do the job.
Okay, anyone else on the quarterback situation?
Yeah, I think it's a moot point because chances are both are going to play. It's not how you start; it's kind of how you're going to finish.
Yep.
And we haven't proven that we can finish. We did against Kansas State, but I mean, our quarterbacks are vulnerable. On one hand, Coleman's probably a little bit more athletic. He's got a little bit more ability, I think, to throw the ball, but he runs a little bit upright and he gets hit, and he seems to be fragile a little bit. Helm has got a little bit more butt to him. He's got a little bit behind him, but he's got to make mistakes, and you're going to be either really hot or you're not going to be not. So I think he's going to have to play who's hot and or who's healthy, and I think that's what we're going to be living with the rest of the year, because I don't think either one of them are going to emerge as the legitimate full-time starter because of a lot of factors.
I agree. And really quick, I made a mistake. Obviously, as you guys all know, this is our 3rd game of the conference. I said this is our 2nd game. That's totally my fault. I've messed up with UAB and now this. That's totally my fault.
Okay, well, it's Chuck.
Yeah, I would have to echo what Steve was just talking about. I mean, I think both Coleman and Helms have their advantages, disadvantages, respective fields, but I trust the judgment of Monken. Provided solid leadership to his team long as he's held the position. So, I think just have to see what happens. I'm just hoping Army will get it together, and strengthen their performance the rest of the season.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about UAB, coached by Trent Dilfer, Baltimore Ravens former quarterback in their glory years. So far, they're 2-2. They beat Alabama State 52-42. They lost to Navy 38-24. They defeated Akron 31-28, and then lost to number 15 Tennessee 56-24. And they're scoring a lot of points, but they're giving up a lot of points. They're giving up a lot of yards. They're giving up 482 yards a game. They're generating 437. They're passing for a lot of yards, 320 a game, behind their quarterback, Jalen Kitna, who's 108 of 150. He's got 8 touchdown passes, 314 yards per game, not rushing a lot, 117 a game. And what sort of stood out to me looking at their stats is they're giving up 223 yards a game rushing. And that seems like a lot. They're also giving up 260 yards a game passing. So they're giving up a lot of yards on defense. Of course, now a lot of that was to Tennessee, but also to Navy and Akron. They gave up over 30 points, gave up 40 points to Alabama State in that win. Anyone have any comments about what they predict from UAB, how they look?
I'll kick off. I'll just say, this a notable moment here. This will be the second week in a row that Army will be facing a quarterback who started the same team a year ago. So last Thursday they faced Hauser, who was ECU's quarterback when Army beat ECU last year. Kitna, who is a NFL blue blood. His father was an NFL quarterback, was the quarterback for UAB last season when Army rolled UAB at Mikey Stadium. So, this is going to be another quarterback who's got another year under the belt, who knows Army, knows some of the expectations from Army's defense, and has had a year of experience to improve his game. And he'll be looking to exploit Army in much the same way that North Texas and ECU took advantage of weaknesses that they saw in the Army secondary. So I expect UAB's offensive game plan is going to be almost identical to what we've already seen from North Texas and from ECU. And why not? I mean, both of those teams had an offensive game plan that worked well. And, you get up by 21 points, you've got a pretty easy ride ahead of you as long as your defense came to play. So UAB's a little improved this time compared to last year. When Army played UAB last year, they were 1-4 and they were going nowhere fast. They had the opportunity to play Navy. They played reasonably well against Navy. It's not a fair comparison on the offensive standpoint, as Steve pointed out, because Navy does not run triple option the way Army does. Navy runs a derivative of Delaware Wing T, which is it looks kind of similar, but it's very different and very scary at that. So they're going to play essentially the same type of game plan that we've seen already in the past two games. And that's just my expectation and what I predict to see. Now, UAB, by the same token, statistically, especially on defense, they're pretty weak. They've performed pretty poorly against the run. Let's add as a caveat to that, they did get an extra week of preparation for this game because they had a bye week this past week. So they've got some defensive schematics lined up for what they anticipate Army's going to do on the field. Regardless, Army, play your game, get under center. If UAB thinks that they're going to show up with a defensive game plan that's going to stop your run, then make them prove it. Get out there and run your game. Because you're going to catch somebody out of position, you're going to catch somebody over pursuing, and you're going to break a long one. And then it's going to start to open up the opportunities for the Army team. So UAB clearly is not as strong a team as North Texas or ECU, but they're still dangerous. And it is a game in Birmingham. It is a game that they need to win just as much as Army needs to win because it is a conference game, and they're going to be looking to get out to a fast start and keep the accelerator pedal down and try to get out to a big lead, just like the last two opponents of Army did. So watch for it.
Okay.
Yeah, Ken, if I can real quick on this game, mark my words, UAB will be a bowl game participant this year. Their defense has, I think, 9 transfers in. So they are every week getting better and better and gelled together. Early games are hard to gauge when you have that many new people and faces on their team. So they got to play against Navy, albeit a little bit of a derivative of an option, but it's still a run first type situation. So they got that type of preparation in quarterback centric, run centric offense. They scored decently. Kitten is throwing 72%, I believe. We have had difficulty tackling here recently. I am deathly worried about this game. We're on the
Okay.
road 2 weeks in a row. Even though we had a little bit of a longer week, but we're still going on the road. And it used to be where we used to fear MAC teams on the road. You know, we're going on the road, and perennially we haven't been great on the road. So we better bring it against a great offense, a really big defense. And we demoralized them at Mikey last year, and I guarantee you they didn't forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Curtis, anything?
Yeah, I think, well, Sam mentioned this earlier. I think they're going to come out swinging, kind of just like ECU did. They're going to do their best to get on top of the ball and just really do their best to beat us. But that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. Let's see, Chuck, what are some of the games in the American Conference this week in addition to Army at UAB?
Well, Ken, we've got quite a few contests coming up, looking pretty good this weekend. Yes, we do. Yeah. No, one we have Saturday, 3:30, Vanderbilt, Alabama. It's going to be a good one. Yes, it will. All right. We have also got another Battle of the Sunshine State, Miami versus Florida State, Saturday night at 7:30. So that should be a good one. Yes, it will. And in addition, we've also got other big competitions. I know everybody will want to in for quite a few of them. Yes, we have got Virginia, Louisville, Saturday at 3:30. That should be a good one. Vanderbilt, Alabama, also 3:30. Yeah, good ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ken, a
Good.
really big
Okay,
game.
Richard, you got any ones you're going to follow?
Well, the main one I'm going to be following is two in particular. Number one, Minnesota, Ohio State, 7:30. Simultaneously at the same time, number 3, Miami. Number 18, pardon me, Florida State. Both games at 7:30. One on NBC, one on ABC.
Oh, wow.
Okay, there you go, Richard.
Yeah.
Okay,
The other
well, let's
game that should
move
be,
into our
Ken,
go
a
ahead.
huge game this
Sam,
weekend.
go ahead. Steve, go ahead.
Huge game this weekend. Tulsa, Memphis. You're probably thinking, what the heck are we thinking about Tulsa, Memphis for?
Mhm.
But Tulsa's an improved team. We're going to find out who Tulsa is. We got Tulsa coming up at the end of the year. It could be a pivotal game on our postseason desires.
I agree.
Tulsa, Memphis is a huge AAC game coming up right now. And then Charlotte, we got to keep an eye on Charlotte. We should always be scouting our upcoming opponents.
Yep.
We got Charlotte coming up. They're playing South Florida. Shouldn't be much of a contest, but let's see how they stick with them. So
Yep.
those are huge AAC games. I'm very intrigued by Tulsa. They showed really well on a Friday night game not too long ago against I forgot who they played. It was
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. And
Yep.
and it got Gundy fired, but you still that's still a power 14. So Tulsa.
Okay.
Yep, big time.
Okay,
And of
very
course,
good.
they're-
Let's go into our lightning round and start with Chuck Donegan. What's your prediction on UAB and Army on Saturday?
Ken, I think this is going to be a close contest, but I'm of the mindset that I think Army will take this one 28-24.
Okay, Chuck says 28-24. Okay, let's go to Curtis Harris. What do you think? Score
I'm
will
going to
be?
go with optimistically. If everything goes well, 24-17 Army.
Okay. Very good. And let's go to Richard Miller. What's your prediction, Richard?
28-27 Army.
28-27?
Yep.
Okay, you're a close one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and let's go to Steve Chaloux.
I think this is going to be a high scoring affair. And I think we're going to be 40.
42-40, not much
Interesting.
defense.
I didn't say which one was going to win,
Okay.
but I'm going to tell you 42-40.
Okay, let's go to Sam Houston.
Yeah, just a reminder, Navy Air Force is this Saturday. Definitely we want to watch that game as well because Commander-in-Chief Trophy, one of the, it's the #1 goal of every season for Army football. So good chance to scout out our two arch rivals. But as far as this weekend, I'll be there. I got a lot of trepidation. I've got the heebie-jeebies and butterflies in my stomach about this one
Good.
because our season is in the balance.
right.
I think that Army's going to answer the bell this time. They're not going to fall behind like they did in the past 2 weeks. I just don't see a Monken team allowing that to happen three games in a row. That being said, I am actually in line with Curtis. He beat me to the punch on my prediction. I was thinking about this before, and I'm going to stick to it. I think that Army's going to win 24-17.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, and Stephanie, what's your prediction? Stephanie got it right last week, by the way.
She's not afraid to get it right.
Stephanie,
Stephanie's got the
Stephanie, are
best
you there?
record.
I don't think she can. I don't think we can hear her. Or hey, let me try to text.
I'm good. So according to Sam, I have the record now of 3 over 1 loss.
Yep, you got the best record in the
3-1 on the
huddle.
year.
So, but I'm thinking it's going to be a big game for one team. Not sure which team. I'm hoping the Army. So I'm thinking about 38-28, a 10-point game for Army winning.
Okay, so everybody expect Army's going to win today, on Saturday at UAB. Thank you, Stephanie. I think the stat that jumped out at me was that UAB is giving up a lot of rushing yards, 222 per game. And that could make a difference, could open up the offense for Army's running game. They could get some momentum, some consistency. They've also given up a lot of yards passing, just not a good defensive team yet. And but they do have a pretty good offense led by Coach Trent Dilfer, former quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. They have been passing for 320 yards a game, and their quarterback Jalen Kitna, 108 of 158 touchdowns, 314 yards a game. So I think there will be, this is going to take a big offensive effort by Army. And I'm going to go, I think they're going to have to score 4 touchdowns and a field goal. And I think they're going to win this. I'll go for 31-24. And so, okay, well, a couple of us will be down in Birmingham, Alabama. I've never been, well, I've been there. I've been there for, I went to an NCAA basketball tournament game there a bunch of years ago. And it'd be a nice city to visit. And so any other final comments? Any other thoughts on college football this weekend coming up?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Steph.
I just hope that whether we get the coin toss, our defense is coming to play. If we win the coin toss, our defense comes to play first. Or if we lose the coin toss, I hope our offense is ready to get the ball.
Yeah, Army always prefers to defer and take the ball in the second half. But last week it backfired at East Carolina.
2 weeks in a
That's why I
row.
said if we lose the coin toss and we end up having to be, the first ones, then our offense really has to come to play. But if we win the coin toss and start the ball at the second half, our defense has to come prepared, or else all of our predictions are going to be wrong.
Well, one thing that Trent Dilford was talking about in his Monday media session was intensity. And he said that's what he noted about Army there, the intensity of the team throughout. But he said it seemed like it took them a while to get going, was his observation. So, Army's got to bring intensity, whether they have the ball to start the game or they're on defense. And that's going to be a key. They want to really avoid getting into a 2 or 3 touchdown deficit early. It's very hard to play catch up. But as I said, I think that from what we've seen, UAB is not a good defensive team, and Army has a chance to really roll the offense. And so we're going to look forward to that. I'll be down there. We'll have live reports before the game. We'll be at the Association of Graduates tailgate, and we'll be looking for Sam. Stephanie, are you making it this week? No, you can't travel. Okay.
It's
We'll miss
not that
you.
I can't travel. It's because me and Sam had already decided that I'm going to the Tulsa game,
The Temple game.
the Temple game, yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
also
So you got another.
we're
We'll
going
see
to
us
be going
again.
to the New Orleans one too, the Tulane game.
Yep.
And so I'm gonna already be doing quite a bit of traveling, and so
Okay. Well, very good. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you. And so let's wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We have Curtis in New York. Thank you. And we've got Chuck Donegan out of Long Island, and we've got Richard Miller in Florida, Steve Chaloult in South Jersey, and Sam Houston in Huntsville, Alabama, in the Beat Navy studio, and Stephanie out of Minnesota. Thank you all, and we'll look forward to Army's game on Saturday at University of Alabama, Birmingham. And this is a production of CamVetsMedia. We cover cadets, midship, and the military and veterans proudly since 2008. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Saturday. Take care.
Beat Navy. Go Army.